Hello, everybody. We are back with yet another game of TA Escalation. This time, a 4v4 on a map called Sand Bridge. Guys, I've never casted this map. As far as team games go, this doesn't seem to be one of the more popular options, but I have to say, oh boy, it is cool. I love water maps. I think naval battles in the Total Annihilation series are just hard to match. In fact, I challenge my viewers, though perhaps I'm just preaching to the choir here. I challenge my viewers to find an RTS series that have naval battles quite as cool as the Total Annihilation games, whether that's TA or FAF or any of the Spring series of games. There's just such awesome naval combat, very visceral and explosive and interesting, and with submarines and cruisers and destroyers and nukes in some games and mods and anti-nukes. It's absolutely insane, especially in these big team games. So guys, I love casting water maps. I think TA does water better than any other RTS, and I'd love to be proven wrong, but I have really researched just about everything that's out there. And there's really not even something that close to second place. Like maybe Age of Empires series has some naval combat, but it's very boring. You basically just ships kind of floating up to each other and then standing still and shooting volleys of arrows at one another. Something kind of boring like that. Nothing as dynamic or intense as what you will see in the TA series. But anyways, I have rambled on long enough. I don't know what's going on with my recorder. This does sometimes happen where you don't get the player list at the bottom left, so I won't be able to see exactly what the resources are for each player. We're just going to have to do the best we can. And let's go ahead and introduce the teams here. In the top left, we have Pulsar, the purple arm commander. He has gone K-Bots. In the upper left, we have Akiki, the green arm commander, who has also started K-Bots. On the west, we have Gully. I think that's right. Yeah, who has Core and has started K-Bots. And then in the bottom left, we have Race, the orange arm commander who has gone air first. Now, Race is already establishing a base in the middle. And apparently starting a base here too, or at least building a radar. And we're going to have to make my commander go away. So Race already out on the map, starting air first. That will be interesting. In my last cast, we talked about how great Race's air control really is. So I don't doubt for a second that he will make some epic plays this game. Already building a light laser tower on this eastern island, so certainly taking the most aggressive approach here. But having said that, his teammate in the top left, sending some Pee-wees across. I don't expect Pee-wees to get too much accomplished. There is quite a gap between, quite a chasm between the two sides here. On the east side, the top right player, we have Root, the pink core commander who has gone vehicle first. It's the only player I've seen so far that's gone vehicle. We have Elmer Fuddhato. I don't know who that is, but he's blue arm and he's going vehicles. On the east side, we have red core. Let's see, MZ, and he is going K-bots. And in the bottom right, we have Lole? I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, point is, this is the only player we've seen so far that actually started. Well, he started K-bots, but it looks like he reclaimed his K-bot lab, so he's going heavily into shipyards. So as of right now, we have, let's speed up the game. On the east side, we have 2 players going naval, and on the west side, we just have green going naval. It's an interesting choice. Ah, here we go. We now have a second player on the west side, goalie, also going naval. Now, on this map, winning the sea battle is absolutely so important. I don't really feel like that needs to be said. It's taking control of the sea. I mean, the sea looks like at least 50% of the map, if not more. And it is also the center of the map, so having control of this area allows you to really take control of the game and move your units through the map very efficiently. But already we see that Race's little proxy base here at the bottom right with a bunch of light laser towers is already causing trouble for the Eastern team. So we will have to see if that continues to be the case. Certainly, the Eastern team not just going to allow Race to build a little fortress right on their doorstep. I will assume that once they get some destroyers out, those should have no problem taking out all these light laser towers. Which really makes me wonder whether Race has made a good decision by doing this. He has invested a lot of resources into light laser towers here. Then again, he's got some metal extractors. Maybe it pays for itself. In other words, I don't think this base is going to be there in the long term. I think this base will sooner or later be destroyed by the Eastern team. He's just too far out, and he's not really going to be able to support that very well. And already we see Brown putting a lot of pressure with these floating Stingers and some Corsairs. So Red with some early scout aggression, but guys, as we know, in escalation, scouts have been nerfed quite extensively from how they were in the original game. They no longer have their missile, their anti-air missile that could also shoot other seaborne vessels. Instead, they just have these 2 little light laser cannons. And of course, if you have enough of them, they are still quite a formidable force to be reckoned with. But on their own, they are no longer as strong as they used to be. Nowhere near as strong as they were in OTA. And most of the balance mods I've seen have actually nerfed the Sea Scout quite considerably. It was very, very strong in the original game. But here at the top, we do have Rockos fighting Scouts, and Pink already on T2. So Root is an interesting player. As we talked about in the last cast, Reapers absolutely dominating T1 units in general. And I think we will see all these Rockos being torn apart in no time flat. Yeah, Pink really making an amazing decision by rushing T2. He's already on Moho extractors, so his economy is absolutely going to be superior to Purple. And as I was saying, Root is an interesting player. He strikes me as a player that plays these kind of big 4v4 or 5v5 macro team games almost exclusively, and excels in these kind of games. Root strikes me as a player that in a 1v1 probably wouldn't perform that well. In other words, I don't know that his micromanagement is at the same level of the top players, but his macro management is just, you can't see me right now, but I'm doing the, you know, the perfect, giving you this expression that Root's macro game is so out of control. He just over time becomes this absolute economic, technological powerhouse that's almost impossible to deal with, and he's consistently good in all the team games I watched him play in. He's just such a terror. I think he has a good sense of when he can, of how greedy he can be. Of course, escalation in a lot of ways is a game of greed. You want to be as greedy as you possibly can be without losing. Obviously, if you lose, you were too greedy. But if you can be just greedy enough, you know, to get an advantage over your opponent, and this is a great example. I mean, he's got like already 10 mohos. And his opponent hasn't. Well, his opponent has 3, but he is way ahead of purple. Like he is, like even though we can't see the economic charts or anything, pink is certainly winning the economic battle here, and winning as well. He certainly has a superior army, though I don't think it's enough to push through now. Because purple is now working on, he's already built a Guardian, he's working on a Toaster. But big sea battle happening in the south of the map. There's a lot of Crusaders here on the part of Race. So Race has actually also gone into Naval Tech. And maybe still attempting to defend his little proxy base in the bottom right, but overall, he's it's a pretty close fight. Both teams, it's actually kind of hard to tell who's who here. There's just so much action, so many explosions, that it's hard to tell what I'm looking at. I guess red and brown are one side of this, and orange and teal are the other side. So overall, that engagement seemed pretty close. I mean, it wasn't clear which side came out the victor. But here at the top now, the West team pushing forward with a wombo combo of Fidos and some naval support as well. But as I said, pink has quite a formidable army here. And green going to push through, perhaps foolishly here, because blue does have some pretty nice defense, and green seems to have just kind of thrown his whole army pointlessly into the east side. I don't know how much he really got accomplished there. Certainly it feels like blue was more than prepared for that. But as I say that, purple's still sending through these Fidos. Of course, mass Fidos are very terrifying. They do have impressive range, and of course, as you can see, this AoE madness, this absolute AoE destruction. They do require specialized counters. They can outrange Reapers. And nice micro there by purple. So what will Root do to stop this? Yeah, purple moving his Fidos into a bit of a corner there. And I assume they will be destroyed. After this, blue does have some naval support off the shoreline there, and pink will clean that up. So Purple did get something accomplished. He killed a few Moho extractors and some wind generators. But overall, not too much. Didn't get too much done. And Red is the first player, it seems, on T2, Naval. He has some Executioners in the mix. And guys, Executioners in OTA were okay. I mean, they were still strong. But in escalation, these are Kings of the Sea. They're absolutely terrifying to find yourself at the other end of. They have these powerful Gauss cannons, and also I believe that once they get into range, they also have some depth charges as well. They also have a laser. So this unit is kind of a sea superiority unit. Race bringing in some torpedo bombers, Lancets, to take control of the sea here, and microing them very well. Oh my god, is he going to get this Warlord for free? He does. Well, Red doing the best he can to try to punish him, but that was impressive. Race doing a great job here. He is on sea, he is on air, he is on land. He is taking advantage of every type of threat that he can get his hands on in this game, and playing extremely well. He really didn't have to go naval. He maybe could have left it up to his teammates and just stayed air. And Red now bringing some Avengers down to stop this torpedo bomber harassment. But yeah, that Warlord was taken out. Guys, Warlords are not cheap. They are a massive investment in escalation. Of course, they are. They pay for themselves. Let's see. Oh, did I just crash the replay? Sometimes when you type in the sonar command, it does crash the replay. Guys, I am sorry about that. Using the sonar command does crash this particular replay. So I had to restart the game, restart the recording. So we're not exactly where we were, but we're pretty close. We're back to how often do you guys get to go back in time? We get to see Race's epic torpedo bomber attack again on this Warlord. Great micro, maximizing the amount of torpedoes he can drop on this thing, and such a huge investment on the part of Red that just yeetist deletist by Race's torpedo bomber micro. But let's go ahead while we're catching back up to where we were and look at the players' bases. Teal on T2 land and T1 air, and I guess he is also on advanced shipyard. Guys, we don't have the sonar command, so we can't easily see what is underwater, but we will do the best we can. And green surrounding his geo with metal makers. That's an interesting choice. It's like you're pretty much guaranteeing that if you lose this geo, half your economy. Oh, this one too. Yeah, you're pretty much saying, you're telling the opponent, like, here's a red bullseye. Here you go. I'm just going to give you half my economy here. Take out one geo and you can have all of my energy and metal production for free. So that's an interesting strategy. Maybe trying to bait your opponent into doing an air attack on your base. Guys, don't try this at home. That's not something I might recommend. But Root as we mentioned before, certainly one of the strongest macro players in this game. His economy is exploding. He's working on his second both fusions are done. He's working on the upgrade to a second fusion. And we can assume that Root will be going into T3 at any moment. Blue with just a hovercraft platform, and he does have some advanced naval tech. Red, who's red again? MZ. I don't know who that is. But red with a decent economy as well on Mohos. And of course, brown. I don't even think he's at T2 yet. Yeah, brown certainly behind. No, he is at T2 on ships. So we can't see the underwater. We don't know what's going on in terms of the naval economy. But either way, both teams, it is a very even game at this point. And both teams kind of taking this moment of respite to build up their forces. Race with another aerial attack. This time it is not torpedo bombers, but just regular old Phoenixes, advanced bombers, and as we've seen in the past, Race an absolute monster with these. It really does come down to how much air defense his opponents have built. Certainly here in the sea we have some shredders, and shredder is a I would say that is the proper name. These are kind of a no-fly zone, or they create a no-fly zone around them. And we can't see it on the screen, but gold does have a sub of some kind here. Let's slow it down because red moving in with Avengers, and Race moving in with some Hawks. But as I said, there was a submarine here. I do think that Race got it with those torpedo bombers. Here in the north, there is an engagement. More Fidos and Reapers continuing to trade blows with one another. Generally speaking, Fidos will win that matchup, especially because there is an ambusher here in the back. And Fidos they can outrange Reapers, but he has kind of caught himself at a wall. And that's a lot of Reapers, and blue is also sending Bulldogs, which are even stronger than Reapers. There's still this fight happening in the bottom, and I think what probably happened, Race sent his bombers over into this no-fly zone of Shredders and Avengers, and they were deleted almost instantaneously. So he does still have some bombers here, but the truth is that Race is going to have to find another avenue of approach. And as we say that, brown continuing to move forward with some submarines, which we cannot see, but we can see the torpedoes. So we do know the subs are there. And I thought Conquerors had a depth charge. But Orange may have some subs of his own. Guys, I apologize that we cannot see the underwater combat. But we can certainly do the best we can. And another fierce naval engagement here in the north. Purple, I think, was calling for help in the chat. He is now getting kind of triple teamed. Well, I guess not. I guess blue is both on naval and bringing the Bulldogs across, and pink, of course, with these Reapers. Purple now saying GG. It does seem as though his front line has collapsed. And the Eastern team will continue moving forward. Red with a Warlord here and a Warlord's King of the Sea. This should have no problem taking care of everything that Race has, except of course for these bombers. These bombers are going to need to avoid the Shredder. Oh my god, he's going in. Those bombs miss almost everything, and yeah. I would say that was an ill-advised bombing run. But Red also moving his Warlord into melee range of Race's fleet, which isn't to be advised. Warlords are meant to be used in more of a long-range capacity. Of course, they do have the green lasers, kind of the green Gatling gun on the front, but that is used more as a defensive tool. You don't necessarily want to use that. You can just keep your opponent at range with your powerful plasma cannons. You don't want to be moving into range, and we can see that Warlord was quickly dispatched. But battles continuing to rage at different parts of the map. Race was doing a good job of holding off Red, but now with Brown, not Brown, I guess it's Gold, also putting aggression on him. Race is going to struggle to hold off all of this pressure without help from his teammates. Of course, Teal is sending down some enforcers. And Pink with some torpedo bombers of his own. But we do now have Mavericks against Bulldogs. And Green doing what he can to help his teammate, but it doesn't look to be enough. Blue is moving through with an unstoppable force here of Bulldogs. And of course, Purple now on T3, and if he could just hold off this attack just for a little bit, he could certainly build the T3 army he needs to stop that aggression. Red seems to have an army of submarines. We can't see them on the screen, but we can see them on the map. There looks to be like at least 20 submarines under the water. I don't know if those are just regular lurkers or something more advanced. But if he wants to use them, I don't know why he's retreating them. This would be a great opportunity to move them in range of this fight instead of leaving Gold's naval army to simply die without any submarine support. Of course, Gold has two Warlords. This first Warlord in the front in trouble. So it's at a sliver of health, and of course both sides on torpedo tech. I don't know why Red is moving his army away from the fight. I think if those subs were to go in, they could probably just dominate this. The Western team doesn't have much left on the sea. I think there's a couple advanced subs here. Yeah, I think those are advanced submarines, and of course Warlords have no sub defense. This Warlord at one hit. If he's paying attention, he might want to retreat this and see if he can repair it. Bring it back for another fight. Fight another day. In the north, Blue moving through, but there is a lot of defense here. A Millennium, some Fidos, and Hammers on the coastline. And Purple does seem to have defended himself. Now that he's producing T3, that will be quite difficult to stop with just Bulldogs. And it does seem as though Blue's naval attack has failed, though he is continuing to send scattered forces through the north side of the pond. But overall, this game is still extremely close. It looked as though the North team was going to break through. The top Sand Bridge, as the map is named after. It seemed as though the North team was going to break through there and take out Purple's base, but he reached T3 at the nick of time and began spamming out those Marauders, which are more than enough to push Bulldogs back. But let's look at the players' bases again. Blue on T3. I'm really surprised that Root's not on T3. I don't know what he's doing. Still building Reapers. Red with an Inferno. Guys, this is a treat. We don't often get to see T3 naval combat. Holy cow. Look at the icon. This massive red circle. It's got a flamethrower battery on the front of it. We can kind of assume that this... Oh my god, it can walk on land. What the hell? What the hell? That's so cool. I've never actually seen one of these in a game. Like, this is troll tech. Of course, he's going to need to support it. I don't think he can just send it by itself. He needs to have... does have some aerial support. Gold still has those 2 warlords. This one warlord at a sliver of health. So, if Gold can support the Inferno, and if he maintains aerial dominance, we can assume that that T3 monster, which can walk on land, will be an absolute terror for the Western team. I don't know what they have to stop it. Red moving... Oh, those weren't subs, they're Gimps. That makes a little more sense. I've mentioned before, Gimps, they do have torpedoes, but they're not... They're weak torpedoes. Like, Gimps aren't really designed for naval combat. They can defend themselves somewhat. But, green moving down. And, what are you doing, Red? Red's sending all his fighters. Maybe he's using them as scouts. It's hard to tell what he's doing, but all these fighters are going to just die for no reason, and I don't really like that decision. I think that was a mistake because those fighters could have been used as a screen over the Inferno. Once this Inferno enters combat, it will be difficult for the Western team to deal with, and one counter they could do is air. We do see that Race still has some torpedo bombers left over. But if Red had kept those fighters, it would have been able to protect this. The second Inferno is now complete as well. And Red also moving these Gimps onto, seems to be near the shoreline. They're about to make landfall here. And they do. They are now encroaching on the beach line. Of course, Gimps are very powerful on in land combat. They're kind of like weaker cans, I guess. Maybe a little faster than cans, but certainly having less health. But still a force to be reckoned with. And there's quite a few of them, but the Western team does seem to be prepared for this, at least somewhat. This geothermal power plant, as we mentioned earlier. If this goes, all of the metal makers will go, but overall, Red not getting too much accomplished with that Gimp invasion. It was a nice idea, but the Western team was ready for it. And Green's battleship getting swarmed by a combination of Zappers and Conquerors. Red now with 2 Infernos, and he does have some anti-air there. I still think he should have kept his Avengers alive. I think that would have been a great... To have a fighter screen there would have been absolutely essential to defending this. Because Race is now building Annihilators. See, he could have just brought all these fighters and just deleted all these advanced construction aircraft if he needed to, or at the very least maintained some aerial control. But Red moving forward with these Infernos, and really the success of Red's attack here will have a lot to do with how well his teammates support him. If the Eastern team just allows Red to try to 1v4, these Infernos can be killed. But if they attack with him and support him, this is going to be an absolutely deadly assault. And they do seem to be all kind of moving as a unit here. Red moving forward with his Infernos. Here in the south, Gold has Warlords. But as we see these torpedo bombers putting some massive damage on the Infernos, and if Red still had those fighters, I don't think this would be the case, but Teal has a ton of advanced submarines, and that is impressive. Yeah, it did seem like Red just kind of threw his army into Teal without much support. I really think if he had brought those Infernos down through the bottom with Gold's Warlords as a kind of supporting fire, he would have gotten a lot more accomplished. Teal could have moved his army, but it would have been harder to get his naval force down to the south in time. And Red might have been able to just literally walk those Infernos into Race's main base. So, yeah, a little questionable there from Red. Red's decisions this game have been a little questionable. It was really cool that he went T3 Naval, but guys, T3 does not mean you will win automatically. You still have to make good tactical decisions with your T3 units, powerful though they are. And now the Western team, with the momentum at the top, moving through a force of Fidos, Marauders, and some Hammers. But yeah, this game has been very back and forth, guys. It's hard to tell who's winning, but it does seem like perhaps the Western team beginning to take a foothold on this game. And of course, it would help if we could see the underwater portion, if we could see what was going on under the sea. But in lieu of that, we will simply have to take stock of what we can see. Of course, Root doing a good job of defending his base here. And these four Warlords have just been a thorn in the Western team's side. They have been, it feels like these have been alive the whole game. Obviously that's a bit of hyperbolic, but another Inferno coming across, and again, I don't think that will fare much better than the last ones unless he uses it correctly. Red now moving to T3. Let's see, Root also on T3 now. And moving those Warlords north. Of course, we do know that we are aware of the fact that Teal has a lot of advanced submarines up here, so Brown will want to be careful about moving those Warlords too far north. And Race not building Paladins, which are kind of like a floating penetrator on the sea. Also with some tornadoes as well, which is the, I assume it's the T3 torpedo bomber, torpedo gunship perhaps. But Red this time perhaps being a little smarter, moving his Inferno to the south where his teammate is, instead of just trying to move it through a wall of submarines where it will be destroyed almost immediately. And if red and gold coordinate their attacks in the south here, they could absolutely get something accomplished. So it really depends on teamwork. And as I've said, red's decisions this game have been kind of questionable. He's got the army. I mean, he's had the naval firepower. At some point he had a lot of aerial power, and he's kind of misused it. But let's see. It looks like teal now on T4 and building a Tyrant. I think a Tyrant is T4 tech. I think that's T4 naval. So if teal can get this Tyrant done in time, he is bringing down all of his construction aircraft. And the Eastern team now combining forces. Perhaps this attack will be better than before, but Race is somewhat prepared. He has those Annihilators in place and those Paladins, and once again, these players are not working together. If these Warlords were to move with the Inferno, I think a lot more could have been accomplished there, but not great teamwork in that situation. And Pink, it does seem as though Pink doing a good job now. He's got a bastion defending this north side of the map. So the naval war is still very even, and it's hard to tell who's ahead, but Race certainly with a very scary defense here. He's got T3 torpedo bombers, or gunships perhaps. He's certainly, I guess they're bombers, but he's using them like gunships. And brown, or is it gold? I guess it's gold. Gold with not enough, really not enough air defense here to stop these torpedo bombers from taking out his whole force. Here in the north, we have T2 hovercraft, I think, versus T2 naval, and that will be a foregone conclusion. Executioner is very strong against hovercraft in general. Red moving some Avengers into range here of Race's stuff, but yeah, guys, the Eastern team I think could have won this game if their teamwork had been just a little bit better. There's been several moments that either they were pushing through the top, or red and gold here had the superior naval force, and if they had pushed when they had the advantage, they could have taken the game. I think they've had several opportunities, but individually, I think they're doing pretty well, but their team play has just been a bit atrocious. And the Western team now halfway through on this Tyrant, and T4 is so powerful that you don't even necessarily need team support after you build T4. Sometimes you can just build a T4 unit and win the game. So once this Tyrant is complete, certainly it will put the Western team in a dominant position, because there is a lot of naval support already on the field. The Western team already having the superior naval armada. With the addition of this Tyrant, should be able to control the seas, and once they take control of the sea and get to the eastern shoreline, they can simply demolish the Eastern team's base. Of course, the game isn't over. The Eastern team now pushing through. Root with a couple of warlords. Building a Krogoth as well. Krogoth would be absolutely dominant in the north if he could get that complete. I don't think that the northern team has much to stop a Krogoth at this point. Of course, they are building their own T3. And Race continuing his aerial harassment of the sea. Of course, we can't see what those are shooting at, but we do know that there are submarines of some sort under the water. And here we go, a Juggernaut at the north. Juggernauts are slow, but powerful. And if Pink can get this in range of the Western team, that may do quite a bit of damage. So again, it feels as though this game is kind of hinging on this this Tyrant. Of course, Teal has moved his construction aircraft off of building that. I don't know why. I really feel like once that wins, the Western team's naval armada will be nearly unstoppable. Especially since Race does seem to have aerial dominance at this moment of the game. He is, I think, the only player on T3 Air. And guys, I'm going to look at the player bases here. I don't see any game enders like nukes, nuclear weapons. Could be a game changer for either team. I don't think buzzsaws or Vulcans would reach the other side of the map, so I'm not sure that would be a proper solution to the woes of either team. Pink now moving through with Warlords, and yeah, again, if he waited for his Juggernaut, this may be a more effective push here, but Warlords certainly enough to take care of what we're looking at on the screen here. They will outrange all of this on the land, and of course they do outrange Executioners as well. Red continuing to mass up a naval force kind of in the middle. And this Tyrant, yeah, I really wish that I don't know what Teal is building here. He's building something underwater. Might be like an underwater T3 extractor, underwater mantle extractor perhaps, that he's working on, trying to get his economy upgraded so that he can finish this Tempest more quickly. But yeah, overall both teams playing very defensively right now. I think just building up their economies. And I didn't see anything on either side that would be a game ender. I didn't see any nukes. Of course, they are sometimes hard to spot. Here's an anti-nuke, a couple anti-nukes, but I don't see any nuclear weapons. A T3 Bertha. What are those called? Dictator. A dictator might be at this point. That could be a game changer if either side decided to, if either team decided to invest in that. But here we go, another naval engagement here at the bottom. Race with those cheeky paladins, but they will be outranged by the Warlords. And without other naval support, I don't know how much these paladins will get done. So we are still waiting for that Tempest to complete, and once that completes, or the Tyrant, excuse me. Once the Tyrant completes, I have to think that the Western team will move through the sea. I didn't quite see what happened there, but I think there was some defilers, the T3 mobile bombs that probably walked onto the land or something. Something's causing massive explosions here. I'm not sure what, or perhaps there's a, it's just these bastions. Maybe it's just the bastions hitting the ground. It almost looked like there was T3 mobile crawling bombs, but Oh no, it's this Juggernaut. Yeah, this Juggernaut is finally in range, and of course all of its shots are massive AoE explosions, so this Juggernaut will be a game changer, and the Western team now in trouble in the north. They're going to have to bring more to stop this. Thuds and Mavericks are not going to be enough. Even one Cerberus won't be enough to stop this. And finally, Teal deciding to finish this Tyrant. Though, I guess perhaps the Tyrant is not T4, it is just the late game. It's the most powerful T3 battleship. It's kind of the super battleship, so, but even though, even if it's not technically T4, it is unbelievably strong, and if the Western team can use this Tyrant correctly, they could absolutely sweep through the map here, sweep through the sea, and just win the game outright. Of course, the Tyrant having pathfinding issues, having trouble figuring out how to leave the naval yard. It will finally leave. So gold on T3 as well. This T3 Monitor. I thought the Monitor was a hovercraft. Maybe not. Maybe this is just a floating disc of some sort. But Pink now has that Krogoth in play, and as I said before, the Western team, I just don't think they have enough to stop this. Green is bringing up his naval force. He does have some Millennium. And perhaps Pink doesn't know that he could probably just walk into his opponent's base with that Krogoth. He's using it more defensively here. And slowly this Tyrant making its way into the sea. This Krogoth feels like nearly invincible. And the Western team sending a steady stream of units. But as I said, I don't know that they have enough to stop this Krogoth if he were to commit that straight to Purple's base. The Eastern team now being aggressive with some Infernos. But the Western team, I think, has more than enough to stop this. Race now bringing his Paladins into the fray. And once this Tyrant reaches the front lines of the naval battle, should be a game changer. Continuing to have skirmishes all over the map. Here in the south, Gold moving through with some anti-air. But it's just not going to be enough. Race has quite an impressive defense here. He's got tons of anti-air. He's got annihilators. He's got T3 torpedo bombers. And finally, this Tyrant is in range. We just saw a tactical missile there, so this neutralizer is in range of Race's naval force. But I really think if Teal were to move all of his units together, if Teal and Race were to make a coordinated naval attack, we could easily take control of the sea here, especially if Teal brings all these submarines, which are obviously there, to support his big battleships. Looked like another neutralizer shot. Of course, half of the naval battle is happening underwater, so that will be tough to see. But Teal, with this Tyrant, they just need to move. They need to move the force east. I don't think the Eastern team has enough to stop this. What does kind of curious what Teal's building now. Yeah, both teams really struggling to make headway, either in the sea or on the land. It's a little surprising. I thought that Pink had enough with this Krogoth to move through, but he clearly did not think that he did. Red sending an army of Vamps. He will take out a few T3 construction aircraft, but otherwise those will mostly be deleted without getting much in return. And this Tyrant continuing to move through. Purple telling green to stop building T1 units. T1 and T2 at this point in the game. But I don't know. We'll have to see what he can do. Of course, against Krogoths and Juggernauts, even Mavericks will probably melt pretty quickly. Another tactical nuke being used. And this Tyrant is in range of that tactical nuke. We just need to target it. Even this Krogoth struggling under the withering shells of all these millenniums. Or should I say millennia? Red now moving his naval force into range of this Tyrant. But that is perhaps ill-advised. The Tyrant has a ton of health, and he would probably need more than just these 3 Infernos to even put a dent into it. The Western team does have naval dominance, as I mentioned. But both teams really struggling to make any headway in this game. I mean, it's been super even really the whole time. Tyrant at about 4/5 health now, so they did do some damage, but probably not enough. And the players saying they can barely click. I think this game has become so resource intensive that the player is probably feeling the burn. Probably struggling to make any headway But Teal now working on T4, actual T4. Of course, I think with this Tyrant, it's more than enough for him to just move across and probably win the game if he supported it. We do now have 2 Krogoths up here, some Juggernauts, and again, if the Eastern team were to move those across, I don't know that there would be enough to stop them. But yeah, both sides really struggling to make any headway in this game. Race with an Aeon, which is like the T3 hover battleship. Red sending some more fighters into the fray. And Race has a veritable army of ultra construction aircrafts here. Guys, I don't know what happened to Teal there. I don't think he was destroyed. I think perhaps he just left the game. Oh no, I see. He gave all of his stuff to Race. That was a little scary there. I am glad that Race was at least able to take control of Teal's army. Who knows what happened to him? Perhaps he just had to go. This game has been going on now for an hour in game time, but probably more in real time just because the game speed is so slow with all of this stuff on the screen. But I think Race has more than enough here to win this southern engagement. And it does seem as though Brown just dropped. We're not sure what caused him to drop. But Race finally moving forward here, and as I've been saying for a while, I think this is more than enough. To win the, take control of the seas. Green moving through here with some kind of submarine attack. It's hard to tell what types of submarines those are, but that could be very effective. Of course, it does seem as though there's some torpedo defense under the water as well. So it's hard to say how much these submarines will do. Race finally moving through the south here with this unstoppable fleet. I have to think this will be more than enough, but he's got them on hold fire. Guys, when you take units from your from allies, the game will automatically put them on hold fire. You have to remember to put them on fire at will, or they simply will not shoot at your opponent. So for a moment there, it seemed like Race was not firing. His units were on hold fire. But now that problem has been rectified, and I have to think that this is more than enough for Race to simply win the game. You can just get in range of Red's base. And Pink finally moving his Krogas, but it's just too late. If he had done that 20 minutes ago, I think the Krogoth would have been successful. I don't think Purple had enough when he first built a Krogoth to stop him. But he has enough now. He's got a ton of Novas, and Commander just deguns it, so... yeah, some questionable decision making there too. Of course, it's easy when we're in the God mode and we can see everything that's happening to criticize players who only have the limited information that they available to them with the fog of war and everything. But Race is kind of gathering his force here, just moving his fleet. Okay, so Root in the meantime has been building T4. Not that surprising, he does have a Titan here. And Titans apparently can poke their head out of the water. So we can't see the HP bar of this Titan. So we don't know exactly how much health it has. But it is taking out most of this fleet on its own. It has to be low. Titans are impressive, but that is a lot of torpedo bombers. And Root struggling, I think, to get this Titan out of the water to avoid all that torpedo fire. Unbelievable. I really thought that naval fleet would just win the game, but apparently a single Titan will be enough to stop that attack, at least for now. And the game continues. I wish we could see how much health this was at. It has to be low. But maybe Root could build a second one. He's already working on a second one. Guys, this is the ultra late game of TA Escalation. Both teams on such advanced technology that they are struggling to make any headway into one another's base. My god, these Titans are so hard to kill. This thing has just absorbed so much damage throughout the game, and it's incredible that it continues to take so much punishment and just doesn't even seem fazed by it. The Western team now moving through the map with this combination of capital ships and Mavericks. But this Titan now moving north to stop this attack. But while that Titan continuing to take punishment from all this capital ship fire, and the Krogoth as well. Of course, we can see the Krogoth's health bar. Will this Titan ever die? I've been saying it's got to be low for about 20 minutes now, so at this point I don't know how much health it has. I do think they have some self-regenerating features, so they do heal, but slowly. It's not as though they heal quickly. So I don't think it could heal enough to really repair all the damage that's been done by any stretch. But the problem is that the Eastern team's base has these two players have pretty much left the game, so it really does boil down now to the fact that it's kind of like 4 players against 2. Titan has been pulled back, and it does look like he's repairing it. But, I don't know. A second Titan now making its way into the battlefield. Blue and purple saying they're not lagging, telling the other players to get a new PC. Guys, even though TA is an old game, matches like this will make even the modern PC struggle. I'm certainly having frame loss on this game. Never thought I would say I need a new PC to play a game made from 1997. And Race has a lot of stuff. He's got a pretty big fleet. If he sent that forward, he'd probably do something. Root now sending this Titan in range of all these Novas. And once that Titan gets into range, probably destroy all these very quickly, and it does. All those Novas deleted forever, gone from the game. This Titan continuing to push forward. At this point, I don't know how it's still alive. I really underestimated the amount of health that one of these have. I thought that naval engagement it took about 10 minutes ago with Race's entire armada would have almost killed it, but I have vastly underestimated how much health these Titans actually have, and unbelievable. Orange with a Titan of his own, Race bringing his own Titan into Blue's base, but he will run into two of Root's Titans. And how much can he get done before this explodes? It's really the question. Got a little bit done there. Took out some, you know, every minor victory is a victory at this point in the game. This Titan at the top, continuing. You know, if I didn't know any better, I would just say this thing is invincible. Like, it just can't be killed. Like, Root's got hacks on. This thing is just... Finally, it will die. After relentless punishment. And, guys, I have to say this has got to be the beginning of the end for the top right team. Even with Root's insane macro skills, I can't see them coming back into this game. I think we are just going to witness the slow and inevitable collapse of Root's base. That's a lot of capital ships. There's 6 here. And they do have quite a considerable range. They should be able to hit most of this inland area. They can get in range. And yeah, I think Root finally taps out. He's had enough. I think the writing was on the wall there. The Eastern team finally pulling the ripcord, calling it quits. So guys, that was a long game. I hadn't watched the replay before, so I didn't know exactly what to expect, but that was a slog. That was definitely both teams struggling to make any headway, and the teamwork on both sides was kind of lacking as well. I think if either team had worked together better, they could have maybe ended the game a lot earlier. But either way, guys, I do love naval games, and there was some pretty epic moments. So I hope you enjoyed that replay. Guys, after this, I'm going to be moving to the... this is my last game on the 9.86 patch. Going to be moving to the latest escalation patch, which is like 9.91. So it probably will be a few days before my next cast. I need to upgrade all of my game files and find some replays on the new patch. But, yeah, thanks for watching.